Streaming on clickorlando.com. You're watching News 6 at 10.
After flames and smoke took over a city in Marion County, the community takes over City Hall. Tonight on News 6, neighbors demanding answers about a toxic, hazardous fire. Collapsing over the course of just a day, the detour in place in Lake County as work is underway to fix a 50-foot hole. And now investigations to see if it's growing. And quick-thinking actions from a man in DeLand being recognized tonight, how his bravery is being honored, and the message from the police chief for others. But first, one more cold night. Everybody, including this area, downtown Orlando, is under a freeze warning again. This is News 6 at 10. Good evening to you. I'm Eric Von Anken with meteorologist Jonathan Kegas. We are headed down to the 20s in some spots. We're talking way up in Central Florida, Jonathan.
Yeah, it's crazy to say that it's going to be warmer tomorrow morning, but technically it is going to be that way. Wow. But everyone is still going to be hanging around the freezing mark, if not even a couple notches below, as Eric just mentioned. 39 right now in Groveland, so already taking the tumble. 35 in Ocala, already at 34 in Denellen, hanging around 40 in Oviedo. We're at 34 degrees in New Smyrna Beach. Everybody again under that freeze warning. That's that purple color. Again, this is for your pipes and your plants and things like that. I don't think the pipes are going to be as much of a concern tonight. Certainly the plants are, but if you haven't protected them prior to this, they're probably already dead anyway. You will see the things start to improve finally as we rip out of this big time chill starting tomorrow afternoon. Now, it is still going to be cool for where we should be for this time of the year. Hanging around 60 by lunchtime, 63 degrees by 3, a little bit warmer on Wednesday, but another plunge of cold comes our way. We're going to break that part of the forecast down, Eric, coming up at about 10:17.
Jonathan, thank you. Talk to you soon. The big story tonight in Marion County is how toxic and how dangerous was this intense fire over the weekend. Chemically treated railroad ties burning and sending thick, ugly, polluted smoke into the air. News 6 has uncovered it was a stockpile of railroad ties that caught fire in Denellen. Tonight, people who live close by want to know, how harmful was the smoke they breathed in? And what happens now to this charred pile and debris left behind? News 6 Troy Campbell was at a packed city meeting in Denellen.
Yeah, people here in Denellen, they filled City Hall. It was standing room only. There were even people outside once we arrived, all concerned about Sunday's fire. We spoke to several people who are also concerned that those health effects will be long lasting.
Just that we care about this. We care about our home. We care about our well-being of all the citizens.
Lifelong Denellen resident Dr. Ava Ballot says she showed up to City Hall on Monday night to voice her concerns about the health impacts from Sunday's massive fire.
Everyone's worried about the overall health of everyone who lives in the area, everyone affected by the fire. So the smoke was dangerous. It's not just normal smoke.
The Marion County Fire Department says the fire broke out near East McKinney Street and North William Street at a stockpile of railroad ties. Fire officials warned people in the area, saying the chemically treated wood can produce heavy, irritating smoke, and asked people to avoid the area if possible and keep windows, doors closed.
I don't live far from there. We had a notice of evacuation, so we didn't know what to do.
Leroy Thomas lives nearby where the fire occurred and says he showed up to City Hall because he's concerned both about the air he breathed in and what chemicals were left behind.
I went down there to look around, and fire was everywhere. It's bad.
Homeowners say it was their understanding the owners of the railroad tie stockpile were working to dispose them from the area because of the threat they posed.
They delayed it too long, and our worst nightmare, which we had warned them about, was this fire.
Giatti Palmer, with the environmental organization the Sierra Club, also came out on Monday to address Denellen leaders.
It was shock and dismay and just deep concern about what the impacts were going to be, how quickly the fire was going to be contained.
In response to the fire, the mayor of Denellen also declared a state of emergency as crews work to put out the flames.
The fire department cannot be grateful enough. Those folks getting out there, rolling up their sleeves and putting that fire out, and at risk to themselves because, these are toxic chemicals that are being spewed out.
And as for the takeaway, people who live near the area say they're now hopeful the property will be cleaned out and all those chemicals will be properly disposed of. In Denellen, Troy Campbell, News 6.
Another road to get you through Lake County crumbled and closed. These are images from Empire Church Road. If you're not familiar with this area, it's just south of Groveland's downtown area. News 6's Catherine Silver was near the scene earlier today to get an answer to the question everybody's asking. Is this a sinkhole?
An analysis is underway after an apparent road collapse. I'm Catherine Silver here in Lake County. We're taking you about as close as we can get. A growing problem in Groveland. Drone video shows the damage to Empire Church Road, a depression that county officials say is 90 feet wide, 200 feet long, and about 50 feet deep. It seems pretty considerable.
It's gotten actually much larger than that since the first set of photos that were posted.
We met Samantha Singh on her way to pick up her kids Monday afternoon. In the morning, she said it was small enough she didn't even notice it.
And then I came back home and couldn't get through.
She described how close her house is to us, diagonal from the depression.
We were very worried because we're on 5 acres out here.
And she's not the only one worrying and watching.
I told my grandkids over here, I said, Grandpa drove over that last night. And and here today, the road's all caved in.
We spoke with Rick Chestnut while crews assessed the damage in the distance.
I'm a little bit surprised they got out this quickly. I'm glad they did. I see that it looks like they're doing some drilling of some sort, I suspect, to find out if it's going to cave in anymore.
Lake County says an analysis will determine if this is in fact a sinkhole. Their priority is to find a solution and reopen the road as soon as possible.
We're hoping to get it fixed because it's going to add about 30 minutes to go around.
This road is very busy in the morning because it connects all of the houses down that way. So I was concerned that it was happening over here. I was like, how are we supposed to get out from here?
The county estimates about 1,400 cars drive through here every single day. They're recommending Empire Mascot Road as a detour. In Lake County, I'm Catherine Silver, News 6.
New tonight, the Orange County Sheriff's Office says nothing suspicious was found after a bomb threat was called into a church and daycare. According to the Conway Christian Academy in Orlando, they got the threat around 5 o'clock tonight. Classes were in session at the time, so the day was dismissed early and the building was evacuated. After searching, Sheriff's Office says they didn't find any explosive or suspicious devices. Now they're investigating where the threat came from. Matt Austin and Ginger Gadsden have the other stories making headlines in Central Florida earlier today.
The Florida Supreme Court will hear arguments about whether constitutional amendments can be put on the ballot, including one involving recreational marijuana.
This comes after the state said this proposed amendment, along with 21 others, did not get the required number of signatures before last night's deadline. Florida's Attorney General previously asked the Florida Supreme Court for an opinion about the marijuana amendment. Now the Supreme Court wants to know whether it needs to even give an opinion because these amendments will supposedly not be on the ballot. The marijuana petition needed 880,000 signatures for the measure to be on the 2026 ballot, but according to the state website, the group fell short, submitting more than 780,000 signatures. A spokesperson for the group behind the amendment, Smart and Safe Florida, tells us that the state's declaration is, quote, premature. In a statement to News 6, a spokesperson says the final and complete county-by-county totals for validated petitions are not yet reported. It says the group submitted more than 1 million signatures, and it believes when they are all counted, it will have more than enough to make the ballot. Florida's Attorney General is investigating claims this petition had fraudulent signatures, and just hours ago, he said the investigation is far from over.
We're looking at a lot of fraudulent signatures. I know that, hundreds of thousands, were being verified as false signatures. People were calling in saying, that's not my signature, I didn't submit it. I think this highlights the danger of these petition gathering processes, things going on the ballot where, you have fraud in the election system.
Now, it's important to note here, back in July, a new law took effect in Florida, adding more regulations for these ballot petitions, requiring signature gatherers to be registered with the state and to go through training. News 6 reached out to Smart and Safe Florida. A spokesperson said it reported those signatures and the signature gatherers it suspected of submitting fraudulent signatures, and that it is committed to ensuring the process is done correctly.
Florida's Attorney General must respond to the court by tomorrow morning with arguments scheduled for later this week.
Well, you could be paying more to get through security the next time you head to the airport.
New rules started Sunday. If you don't have a real ID, that's that little star on your license. Travelers without real ID are going to have to pay $45 to use TSA's alternate identity verification option. The fee is meant to encourage people to get real ID. That's according to the Department of Homeland Security. This new rule is for anybody 18 and over flying within the U.S. The verification covers 10 days of travel.
All right, you can check out this article on our website, clickorlando.com. It walks you through everything you need to know about the process.
For a daily conversational look at breaking news stories and stories shaping up around Central Florida, join us on News 6 at 3.
Yeah, Matt and I are there live every weekday. We hope you'll join us.
You may remember this crazy video from DeLand. The police body camera clip picks up right after a boy was attacked at a bus stop by a complete stranger. Well, that's when a Good Samaritan jumped in to help, stopped the attack, and rescued the boy. Tonight, News 6's Alex Cook was there when that rescuer was honored at City Hall.
A man who saw a teen in trouble as he was driving by and pulled his car over to help that teen was honored Monday night here at DeLand City Hall. The city honored Joseph Wells, who said he did what anyone would have done. But everyone here respectfully disagreed.
He acted without hesitation, successfully restraining the attacker until law enforcement arrived. His decisive actions likely prevented serious injury or loss of life.
Joseph Wells stood before DeLand City Hall, honored for his heroism on January 20th. DeLand police say Wells was driving past a bus stop that day and saw a transient man with a knife, Christopher Schwabel, attacking a 13-year-old boy. Armed with only a toolbox, police say he fought Schwabel off the teen and pinned him down until DeLand police officers arrived to arrest him. Body camera shows the moments officers arrived on the scene. Tonight, that teen joined Wells along with the rest of the city to thank him for saving his life. After the mayor's proclamation, the police chief presented Wells with a Distinguished Citizen Service Award for his bravery.
We had a citizen see someone in need and intervene and help. And I think that's rare in today's world, and we certainly appreciate Joseph.
Wells, ever humble, accepted his awards without a word. Chief Umberger says people like Wells are all too rare, and he's proud that he lives in DeLand.
Nothing that I can recall in my 33-year-plus career where a person intervened like Joseph did.
Schwabel, that man who police say attacked the teen, is being held in the Volusia County Jail without bond as he awaits trial. In DeLand, Alex Cook, News 6.
5 months after a man was found dead on a roller coaster at Epic Universe, we're getting a look at the text messages between the state employees who responded. What these conversations are revealing about the situation. Plus,
it's preventive maintenance, you know. It may cost you a little bit in electric, but it's going to save you a lot in plumbing.
That Arctic blast impacted pipes across Central Florida, so we asked an expert what you need to know. You're watching News 6 at 10, live on a Monday night, covering Dr. Phillips, Ponce Inlet, and all of Central Florida.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Central Florida Honda Dealers.
New exclusive details about a roller coaster death investigation at Universal Orlando. News 6 has obtained text messages between state amusement ride inspectors who responded to the Stardust Racers roller coaster last summer. Investigator Mike DeForest reveals what they discussed behind the scenes.
As I first reported, when state amusement ride inspectors descended on Epic Universe here after a man's death, they did not write any reports detailing their findings. But I discovered they did send each other text messages, in some cases on their personal devices. Here in Florida, those text messages are public records, so I requested them.
Well, it was called in as a head laceration.
About 90 minutes after Kevin Rodriguez Zavala was found unresponsive on a Universal Orlando roller coaster in September, an employee of the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services sent a text message to State Amusement Ride Inspector Mark Gonzalez. FYI, death called in on Stardust Racer. Appears to be a cardiac episode. Could be one hell of a day tomorrow. Okay, I volunteer to go out there if needed, replied Gonzalez. Under Florida law, large theme park operators like Universal and Disney are exempt from state oversight, something Gonzalez's boss seemed to acknowledge. I'm not sure if the Capitol will want someone out there, not something we normally do. But this is the first for this commissioner, so no idea what his intentions will be.
Where a person is injured should not determine how the state responds.
A spokesperson for Agriculture Commissioner Wilton Simpson tells me Universal voluntarily invited the state to observe testing, and if the company had not, Simpson's office says it would have asked. In this text, a Universal employee tells Gonzalez, "Hey, Mark, if you'd like to meet us over at Stardust tomorrow at 10 a.m., that's when we will get started with our third party." Text messages obtained by News 6 do not detail exactly what state inspectors did at Universal, but 2 days after the roller coaster rider's death, Gonzalez told his boss their data review was all within parameters.
He was right up in the front seats.
Attorney Benjamin Crump incorrectly told the public that Rodriguez Zavala and his girlfriend rode in the front. Listening to the press conference, was he in the front seat? A state supervisor asked. Front seat of the fifth carrier, replied Gonzalez. He is wrong. He is obviously talking without having seen the video or spoken with the girlfriend. Rodriguez Zavala was born with spinal atrophy and used a wheelchair. Law enforcement later determined his legs were broken, which likely allowed Rodriguez Zavala to slip out of the roller coaster's lap restraint and fatally strike his head. Universal Orlando concluded that the Stardust Racers roller coaster functioned as intended. Although not detailed in text messages, state ride inspectors concurred with Universal's findings. Mike DeForest, News 6.
All weekend long, we've been telling you about the potential that pipes would freeze. Well, some did. Orlando International Airport and UCF both had issues over the weekend related to frozen water, and we caught up with a Palm Bay plumber who said his phone was ringing off the hook today to fix pipe problems. He also had some advice.
So I'm telling them to either put a box around it with a lamp in it and cover it with a blanket to keep that heat in, or cover their well heads, which are the pipes out in their front or backyard. Let the water run ever so slightly so that there is motion in the pipes. And if you can, cover your inlet, which is the pipe that comes up out of the ground to come into your house, with a blanket, so that'll at least keep the frost off of it.
We got everything you need to know about how to deal with frozen pipes and prepare yourself for the next cold, and even what to do tonight, depending on where you live, right at clickorlando.com. Meteorologist Jonathan Kagis is back again. Jonathan, some places are going to see a freeze again.
We are, yeah. We might even add to this list. Crazy stat here, Eric. This morning was the first day, the fourth day that we were at or below freezing at the Orlando International Airport. Only 2 of them occurred over the last 7 years. So 7 years total, we've only had 2 days at or below freezing. The last time in a season we've had 4 or more days get to 4 below freezing, that was back in 2010. That year has come up a lot, as this was the air mass that rivaled what we had back in 2010. Here's a live look outside in downtown Orlando with our Light Orlando Delivering Hope Sky Cam tonight. We have air temperatures back to the mid-40s under a mainly clear sky. The breeze out of the west-northwest at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. It feels like 41 degrees. So again, with that breeze backing off, the wind chill is not as much of a factor, certainly as compared to what we had Saturday afternoon and evening when that front came blasting through. 35 in Ocala, we're already at the freezing mark in Denellen. We're at 40 in Mount Dora, 39 degrees in Oviedo. So those temperatures are coming down. We should stay a couple degrees warmer than where we were last night, but that still kind of puts us in that dicey danger zone as well. So for one more night, again, keep those precautions, as Eric just mentioned, in play again. Tomorrow morning, we are waking up into the upper 20s in Denellen and Ocala. We're at 31 in DeLand, 29 we'll make a run for in Palm Coast. We're at 30 in Holopaw, and then West Orange County, we're going to be right around the freezing mark as well. And then we start to jump out of this freeze. Tomorrow afternoon, we do get back into the low 60s. Now, that's going to feel incredible, but technically we are still about 10 degrees below where we should be for this time of the year. Rain chances remain at 0%. We will see a few extra clouds come in. As we shift our wind direction, we bring in some extra moisture back into Central Florida, and that's going to help things to warm up a little bit as well. So tonight, again, that widespread frost and freeze is out there for all of Central Florida. Once we get into the middle of the week, Wednesday, really, that's when we warm up for a very, very short time. Short is the emphasis word here, as we're going to be watching as we move into Thursday, another round of chilly air to come in behind another big cold front. So here's that front. There's Wednesday afternoon. Some rain alongside of it. Otherwise, though, this is going to be a dry frontal passage for the most part. There's 1 o'clock in the morning. There will still be a few showers hanging out with this front. You see a lot of us, though, are going to be on the drier side as that front comes through, and then it will clear things back out, and then the chill settles back in to Central Florida. We are back into the low 70s on Wednesday. That's after another chilly start, but we're out of the danger zone finally of any kind of pipes freezing. On Thursday, we're back to around 60 with a 30% shot for a few of those showers again. That's the front that comes through early in the day. Chilly again on Friday, most of us in the 30s, and then by the weekend, finally looking fantastic. Highs back in the low to mid 70s.
Like that word. Fantastic, Jonathan. Thank you. Looking forward to it. Citrus farmers are now assessing the damage after several freezing nights. The big question, what survived? Still to come, News 6's Jana Manohalal went to Claremont to see the impacts firsthand. Lots of ice.
That's not typically what you think of when you think Florida oranges, but it's looking like winter here in Florida. I'm News 6's Jana Manohalal, and we're at the Showcase of Citrus in Claremont, where we're looking at the aftermath of freezing cold temperatures here in Central Florida. Ice-covered citrus trees are a rare sighting in Central Florida. At Showcase of Citrus in Claremont, co-owner Tara Bauchel walked us through the groves after days of freezing temperatures and heavy winds.
This poor tree here, it split due to the weight of the ice. This tree probably will not live at all.
Farmers ran irrigation systems overnight to insulate the trees, keeping them at about 32 degrees. But it's not all bad. How many of these trees do you have that are like this now because of those heavy winds?
There are a few, less than I actually expected.
That's good.
Because, I mean, if you look, even if we come over here, You know, this tree, there's 100 pounds of ice probably built up over there, but this tree happened to be stronger.
So it's not only the fruit that they wanted to have freeze over, it's also the plant in which the fruit comes from. This flower right here, you can see here, parts of it still frozen over from those few nights of freezing cold temperatures. But the ones that are damaged have the biggest impact.
Because of the 12 to 15 hour consistent freezing temperatures, these blossoms probably won't make it. Therefore, less fruit.
Boschel says protecting the trunk was critical.
We want to protect the tree trunk. Just like humans, we can get frostbite on our arms and legs and still survive. But if your core freezes, you're not going to make it.
The uncertainty is the hardest part.
Nerve-wracking because you just don't know the outcome. We can only control so much. Mother Nature ultimately has the final say-so.
These citrus farmers have to wait for this big chunk of ice on some of these trees that are causing it to lean to melt so they could fully assess the damage. For now in Claremont, I'm Jana Manahalal, News 6. Almost out of it. One more night that we're hanging around the freezing mark, and then we start to warm up for a short time before another round of colder air comes in for the weekend.
Cold, warm, cold again. It's
All
coming.
over the place.
And we're back at 11 o'clock.